March 18, 1944, 2:38. The coke stove in the briefing hut ticked like it was counting down. Captain Dan Mercer sat with his flight cap in his hands and stared at the map board. A thick grease pencil line ran from RAF Thorpe Abbotts across the North Sea, over the Netherlands and the Rhine, past the usual Escort turnback, and on to Leipzig. Deep. Too deep. He had flown long escorts before. This line felt different. Not a risk. A verdict. March 18, 1944, 2:41. The intelligence lieutenant tapped the board. Target is an aircraft assembly and test yard on the outskirts. Photo recon shows new hangars and dispersal bays. Heavy bombers will hit at first light. He pointed at the red circles around the route. Flak belts here, here, and here. Fighter concentrations expected from bases near Magdeburg, Merseburg, and Leipzig itself. Mercer listened to the words and translated them into sensations: the concussions of flak, the flash of tracers, the way a Merlin engine sounded when coolant began to boil. March 18, 1944, 2:45. The colonel arrived and didn't bother with throat clearing. Blue Section will remain with the bombers beyond the planned withdrawal line, he said. You are not expected to return. Might not. Not casualties likely. Not expected. Mercer felt the room go still, like everyone's lungs had been unplugged. Across the bench, Lieutenant Tommy Hale swallowed hard, eyes fixed on nothing. Lieutenant Samuel Red Callahan leaned back, arms folded, a half-smile stuck to his freckled face like a habit he couldn't drop. Red raised a hand. Sir. Clarify, not expected due to fuel, enemy resistance, or... The colonel met his eyes. Yes. March 18, 1944, 2:57. An operations sergeant slid 3 envelopes across the table. If you want last letters delivered, now's the time. Hale took a pencil with shaking fingers and wrote anyway. Evelyn. 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 Like repetition could force the world to behave. Mercer held the envelope but didn't open it. He knew what he would write and also knew words were too light to hold up against flak. Red stared at the blank paper, then folded it untouched. Nothing I say will land right, he murmured. Better to leave it clean. March 18, 1944, 3:18. On the dispersal, 3 P-51D Mustangs waited under a thin crust of frost. Their long noses pointed east, impatient. Packard-built Merlin V-1650-7 engine slept beneath the cowlings, liquid-cooled, supercharged, capable of hauling a pilot into a fight and betraying him the moment a radiator line was nicked. Ground crews moved between aircraft with quiet efficiency. Ammunition belts were fed into 6 Browning 50s, 3 per wing. External drop tanks hung under the wings, paper 75-gallon tanks, ugly, necessary. Mercer walked his preflight slowly, tire, flap, aileron, gun ports, drop tank fittings, propeller edges. He ran a gloved hand along the wing root and felt the cold metal bite back. A crew chief with a cigarette nodded. New plugs, coolant topped, oil good. She'll sing, Cap. Mercer said, treat her kindly when I'm gone. The man's grin twitched. You bring her back and I'll yell at you for scratching the paint. Mercer didn't correct him. March 18, 1944, 3:31. Hale tightened his harness, checked the oxygen hose, thumbed the radio lead until it clicked. He kept repeating the checklist like a rosary, because if he stopped his mind would slide to Maryland, to a kitchen kettle, to his wife's hands. Red wandered over and offered gum. Chew if the flak starts, he said. Keeps you from biting through your tongue. Hale accepted it like a lifeline. Thanks. Red glanced at Mercer's aircraft. Dan, you ever get the feeling the war knows your name? Mercer answered without looking up. Every day. March 18, 1944, 3:38. At the wingtip, Mercer spoke low. We keep it simple. We stay above the bomber boxes, break attacks, no chasing low. Short bursts. If you lose sight, call it. If you're hit, call it. Red's smile thinned. And if we're cornered? Mercer met his eyes. Then we make it cost them. Hale whispered, how many? Mercer looked east. Enough to matter. March 18, 1944, 4:07. Merlins coughed awake across the field. The sound wasn't music, it was violence given rhythm. Mercer climbed into his cockpit, straps biting his shoulders, canopy sliding shut with a clack that sealed him into a small metal world. The instrument panel glowed, manifold pressure, RPM, coolant temp, oil pressure. He watched the needles rise as the engine warmed, listened for the even cadence that meant the Merlin was content. Blue 1, radio check, he said. March 18, 1944, 4:08. Blue 2, loud and clear, Hale replied, voice tight. Blue 3, Red said. I can hear you breathing, Dan. Try not to drown in there. Mercer exhaled. Taxi. March 18, 1944, 4:16. They rolled toward the runway, tailwheels bumping over seams. Mercer kept the nose snaking slightly to see around the long cowling, feeling the aircraft's impatience through the rudder pedals. He set flaps for takeoff, prop full forward, mixture rich. At the hold short, tower cleared them. March 18, 1944, 4:22. Blue section, cleared for takeoff. Wind 180 at 8. Mercer shoved the throttle up to 45 inches, 3,000 revolutions per minute. The Mustang surged, tail lifting. At 110 miles per hour he eased back, the aircraft let go of England as if it had been waiting all night. Behind him, Hale lifted cleanly. Red followed, slightly later, as if he wanted one last second of ground beneath him. March 18, 1944, 5:03. The North Sea below looked like hammered steel. Dawn bled into the horizon. The bomber stream appeared ahead, B-17s and B-24s forming into slow, stubborn boxes, contrails beginning to lace the sky. Mercer climbed to the high cover position. He set cruise climb power, 46 inches, 2,700 revolutions per minute, watching coolant temp and oil. With external tanks feeding, he could afford altitude. He keyed the mic, confirm externals feeding. March 18, 1944, 5:04. Hale, Blue 2, external feeding. Pressure stable. Red, Blue 3, external feeding. If it quits, I'll scream. Mercer, scream early. March 18, 1944, 5:41. They crossed the Dutch coast. Flak started as ranging shots, black puffs below them. Mercer watched the pattern, gauged fuse timing. He adjusted course a few degrees, subtle enough to keep station but enough to avoid being predictable. The bomber radios were a chorus, formation calls, gunner jokes too forced to be real, clipped warnings from lead ships. Mercer felt the old familiarity, a sky full of metal and men pretending to be calm. March 18, 1944, 6:11. Bandits, 12 o'clock high, came a call from the bomber stream. Mercer looked up. The specs resolved into fighters, BF-109s and FW-190s descending in disciplined pairs. His stomach tightened, not with fear but with focus. Blue section, drop tanks. Now. March 18, 1944, 6:12. 3 toggles. 3 heavy clunks. The paper tanks fell away, tumbling toward Europe. The Mustangs leapt lighter. Mercer pushed to war emergency power, 61 inches manifold pressure. The Merlin roared, supercharger whining. Airspeed climbed fast. Blue 1 engaging. Hail, Blue 2 with you. Red, Blue 3, I'm already smiling. March 18, 1944, 6:14. Mercer didn't chase the first fighter he saw. He watched the attack geometry. The Germans aimed to dive through the bomber boxes, fire, and climb away before the bombers. 50s could chew them. Mercer chose the lead 109 and waited until it committed to a bomber's tail. When the wings filled his gunsight ring, he fired a tight burst. 6 Brownings hammered. Tracers stitched the German from wing root toward cockpit. The 109 snapped into flame. Kill count, 1. He broke left hard, pulling G until his vision grayed at the edges. March 18, 1944, 6:16. A second 109 overshot him, firing too early. Mercer rolled inverted and dove to build speed, then reversed into a climbing turn. The German bled energy trying to follow. Mercer fired 2 short bursts. The enemy's right wing tore away. Kill count, 2. Hale's voice cut in, strained. Bandit on you, Blue 1, no, he's off. Mercer, keep your eyes wide, Tommy. March 18, 1944, 6:21. Mercer came in from above on a pair of FW-190s climbing out. Sun at his back, he fired at the trailing aircraft first. It exploded into smoke and fragments. Kill count, 3. The lead 190 split S into a dive. Mercer followed just long enough to land a burst into its tailplane. The 190 fell away trailing thick smoke. Kill count, 4. Red laughed. Dan, you're spending ammo like it's rationed by angels. Mercer, short bursts, Red. Red, I am. Short, enthusiastic bursts. March 18, 1944, 6:28. Hale got his first clean pair, a 109 climbing toward the bombers and another that turned too wide. His shots were careful, almost timid, but deadly. Kill count, 6. Hale breathed hard. 2. Mercer felt pride and fear in the same heartbeat. Stay alive. That's the only count that matters. March 18, 1944, 6:36. The Luftwaffe increased pressure. Waves of fighters dived in, some head-on to disrupt bomber gunners, others sliding into the bombers' blind spots. Mercer led Blue Section into a high-side slashing pass, using altitude as currency. He resisted the urge to turn fight. Mustangs could outturn some Germans at speed, but turn fights bled energy and made you predictable. Predictable got you dead. He fired a deflection shot at a crossing 190. The canopy burst and the aircraft rolled away into cloud. Kill count, 7. Another 109 tried to climb through the bomber boxes. Mercer fired. The engine flared orange, the plane dropped like a stone. Kill count, 8. Hale added 2 more, voice flattening as adrenaline turned him into an instrument. Kill count, 10. Red called, Blue 3 got 1. He tried to turn with me. Poor bastard. Kill count, 11. March 18, 1944, 6:45. Flak thickened. Black bursts walked up toward their altitude. A near miss hammered Mercer's airframe. Shrapnel pinged and cracked, one piece punched into his left wing with a metallic slap. He glanced at the gauges, oil pressure steady, coolant steady. He didn't mention the hit. If you said, "I'm hit," you invited the sky to finish the sentence. March 18, 1944, 7:01. They crossed the Escort withdrawal line. Most friendly fighters peeled away west, fuel margins dictating mercy. Mercer looked down at Germany. Patchwork fields, thin roads, small villages that looked peaceful from 25,000 feet. He thought, this is where men disappear. Blue Section, we continue, he said. Red, copy. Hale, Copy. No hesitation. March 18, 1944, 7:09. Leipzig's outskirts appeared through haze. The bomber stream tightened, preparing for bomb run. The Luftwaffe was waiting, dozens of fighters rising to meet the heavies. Mercer felt his throat go dry inside the oxygen mask. He checked his ammo counters, fuel, coolant. He switched supercharger stage as altitude changed, felt the subtle shift in engine tone, the Merlin settling into new breathing. Blue 1, bandits everywhere, Red said, voice suddenly sober. Mercer, then we keep them off the bombers. That's it. Hale whispered, Jesus. Mercer, fly. March 18, 1944, 7:15. Mercer spotted a 109 latched onto a B-17's tail. The bomber's rear turret was firing, tracers arcing back like desperate handwriting. Mercer Dove fired a precise burst. The 109 broke into pieces. Kill count, 12. Another fighter slid in to replace it. Mercer forced his nose through a high-angle shot and hit the wing root. The German stalled and dropped out of control. Kill count, 13. Hale yelled, I've got one on you. A 190 was behind Mercer, cannon flashes bright. Mercer shoved the stick forward, dove, then rolled and yanked into a climbing turn. The 190 tried to follow and bled speed. Hale cut across and shredded it clean. Kill count, 14. Mercer, thank you. Hale, anytime. March 18, 1944, 7:21. Bombs fell. The yards below erupted, orange blooms, black smoke mushrooming upward. The target was burning. Mercer felt satisfaction for one breath, then the sky closed again. German fighters attacked the bombers on the exit, trying to punish them as they turned west. Red's voice came tight. I'm hit. Radiator, I think. Coolant temp climbing. Mercer knew what it meant, a Merlin without coolant was a timed fuse. Stay high, Mercer said. Don't baby it. Use it. Red laughed softly. Oh, I'll use it. March 18, 1944, 7:31. They fought like men already dead. Mercer shot down two, one 190 that tried a head-on pass and lost, and one 109 that held a turn too long. Kill count, 16. Hale got another, controlled and clean. Kill count, 17. Red got two and then a third, voice rising with each call. Kill count, 20. Mercer forced himself not to chase the number. Numbers turned slaughter into sport. March 18, 1944, 7:42. A flak burst hit close enough to slap Mercer's canopy with pressure. Warning lights flickered. Oil pressure dipped, then steadied. He tasted fear like copper. Red's engine began to fail. Temps pegged, he said. I got maybe 3 minutes. Mercer, make them count. Red, that's the plan. March 18, 1944, 7:44. Red dove into a cluster of climbing fighters, firing short, savage bursts. One exploded. Kill count, 21. Another spiraled down smoking. Kill count, 22. A third disintegrated as Red walked tracers through its fuselage. Kill count, 23. Red's Merlin sputtered. Blue 3 is about to become a glider. Mercer started to speak. Red cut him off. Don't do the speech. March 18, 1944, 7:47. Red rammed a head-on pass against a 190 lining up on a damaged bomber. He fired first, shredded the cockpit. Kill count, 24. Then his engine seized. Prop windmilled. His Mustang lost power, nose dipping. German fighters converged, circling like sharks. Red's voice went soft. See you on the other side, boys. He rolled his powerless aircraft into the densest knot of enemy fighters, choosing impact over capture, over parachute, over the ground. Static. A final burst of noise. Then silence. March 18, 1944, 7:49. Hale's voice cracked. Red's gone. Mercer, we keep flying. Hale inhaled shakily. Copy. March 18, 1944, 7:52. The bombers were turning west, contrails bending like a river changing course. The Luftwaffe pursued, smaller numbers now but still sharp. Mercer stayed above the formation, breaking attacks before they settled. He shot down a 109 climbing toward a bomber's belly. Kill count, 25. Hale got one that had threatened Mercer's tail. Kill count, 26. Mercer, good shooting. Hale, I don't feel anything. Mercer, you will later. March 18, 1944, 7:57. Flak caught Hale's aircraft. Mercer saw the flash and the jagged hole near the right wing root, metal peeled back like a torn can. A brief spray of fuel misted the air and vanished. Hale's breathing went fast. I'm leaking. Not much. Mercer, switch to internal. Watch pressure. Gentle turns. Hale, copy. March 18, 1944, 8:03. A final coordinated push came from behind, about a dozen fighters splitting into pairs, aiming to overwhelm the thinning escort. Mercer knew they couldn't outrun them. Not with Hale leaking fuel. Not with his own aircraft wounded. Hale, Mercer said, we break them first. Hale's voice was small. How? Mercer, head on. Make them flinch. March 18, 1944, 8:04. Mercer rolled into the lead pair. The German pilot fired early, tracers passed wide. Mercer held, closed, and fired a tight burst. The enemy vanished in smoke. Kill count, 27. He reversed and fired at the second. It spun away out of control. Kill count, 28. Hale took the next two with quick, economical bursts. Kill count, 30. March 18, 1944, 8:06. Mercer's gun stuttered. Feed issue. He tapped the trigger again, nothing from the left wing. Jam, he said, throat tight. Hale, what? Left gun's dead. I've got right wing only. Hale's silence was heavy. We're outnumbered. Mercer's voice went calm in a way that surprised him. Then we changed the math. March 18, 1944, 8:10. Hale climbed into a turn to engage two 109s and took hits. Sparks danced off his wing. A crack like a hammer, his canopy spiderwebbed with a hole. He gasped, then steadied. Still here. Mercer, stay with me. March 18, 1944, 8:14. The bombers pulled farther west. The Germans kept hunting the stragglers and the escort remnants. Hale's fuel pressure wavered. His voice came quiet, almost embarrassed. Dan. I'm not going to make the water. Mercer's chest tightened. Keep flying. Hale gave a thin laugh. I am. March 18, 1944, 8:16. Mercer saw the next attack shape forming. He made a decision that felt like recognizing a fact rather than choosing. Hale, draw them. I'll cover. Hale, you don't have to. Mercer, simple, remember? Hale paused. Okay. He climbed, then dove into the enemy, firing and clipping one fighter's wing. Kill count, 33. 3 German aircraft turned toward him immediately. Mercer tried to intervene, but with half his guns jammed he couldn't discourage them all. He fired what he had, forcing one to break. Hale's voice became calm, terrifyingly calm. Dan, listen. Mercer, no time. Hale, tell Evelyn, tell her I. Mercer, fly, Tommy. March 18, 1944, 8:19. Cannon fire hit Hale's Mustang. Smoke poured from the fuselage. He didn't scream. He didn't curse. He said, almost politely, okay. Then he rolled his wounded aircraft onto a German fighter lining up on a bomber straggler and rammed it deliberately. Two machines collided in a burst of metal and flame. Kill count, 34. Mercer made a sound that didn't become words. Now he was alone. March 18, 1944, 8:20. Mercer's fuel gauge was low. His left guns were dead. His right guns had ammunition, but not much. His oil pressure began to drop slowly, an injury finally speaking up. He breathed through the oxygen mask and tasted rubber and hot oil. He thought of his family in Ohio, of a porch in late summer, of the way the air smelled after rain. He didn't feel sorrow yet. Only clarity. March 18, 1944, 8:23. German fighters regrouped to finish the lone Mustang. Mercer used speed and altitude, refusing turning fights, making slashing passes and then climbing away. He fired at the nearest aircraft in a head-on. The enemy exploded into fragments. Kill count, 35. He rolled and fired at another crossing his path. It spun, wings wobbling, and fell. Kill count, 36. March 18, 1944, 8:27. A 190 tried to climb after him. Mercer feinted a climb to tempt it, then dropped onto its tail and fired. The engine erupted in flame. Kill count, 37. A 109 tried to sit in his blind spot. Mercer rolled inverted and dove, forcing an overshoot, then reversed and fired. The 109 shattered. Kill count, 38. March 18, 1944, 8:31. A trio approached in a loose V, cautious now. Mercer smiled behind the mask. Caution could be turned into hesitation. He feigned a retreat climb. They followed, noses up, bleeding energy. Mercer rolled and dove straight through them, firing at the center aircraft. It exploded. Kill count, 39. He snapped a burst at the left aircraft. Smoke poured out, it fell away. Kill count, 40. The right aircraft broke and escaped. Mercer didn't chase. He stayed near the bomber stream's last shadows, keeping the Germans busy, keeping them away from the tired heavies. March 18, 1944, 8:36. Time became a chain of seconds. Mercer's kill count climbed as enemy pilots made mistakes or grew reckless. A 190 tried to turn with him and lost. Kill count, 41. A 109 hung too long in a climb. Kill count, 42. Another attempted a head-on, firing late. Mercer's burst caught it clean. Kill count, 43. His right-wing guns began to sound tired, slower, more hollow. He checked the counters. Low. March 18, 1944, 8:43. He fired a final long burst, too long, wasteful, but decisive. The enemy aircraft erupted. Kill count, 45. Then the guns clicked empty. Silence. Mercer's hands tightened on the stick. Now it would be different. March 18, 1944, 8:45. Without ammunition, he used the Mustang itself, altitude, speed, and the threat of collision. He dove at fighters to force them to break, scattering their formation and wasting their fuel and time. The Germans hesitated. Hesitation was a weapon in the wrong hands. March 18, 1944, 8:49. 3 fighters tried to box him in, one high, one low, one behind. Mercer recognized the trap and smiled. He had no reason to preserve the airplane. He climbed sharply to bait the high fighter into committing, then rolled and dove toward the low one. A glancing impact, propeller clipping wing. The German spun out. Kill count, 46. The behind fighter tried to capitalize. Mercer rolled and slammed his wing into the enemy's tail. Metal screamed. The German broke apart. Kill count, 47. Mercer's own aircraft shuddered violently, alarms flickering. March 18, 1944, 8:52. Hot oil smell filled the cockpit. The Merlin ran ragged. The propeller vibration worsened. Mercer spoke aloud, as if to the engine. Easy. Just a little more. A German fighter misjudged distance in a pass. Mercer nudged into its path and clipped it. The enemy tumbled, shedding pieces. Kill count, 48. Another tried to dive past and pulled out too late. Mercer crowded it, forcing a stall. It plunged. Kill count, 49. March 18, 1944, 8:57. The remaining fighters came again, anger replacing caution. Mercer dove straight at them, forcing them to scatter. He caught one that broke wrong and clipped it. Kill count, 50. He rammed another, tearing off its tail with a savage blow. His left wing buckled slightly but held. Kill count, 51. A third tried to climb away. Mercer followed, engine screaming, and collided hard enough to snap the German's wing. Kill count, 52. Mercer's Mustang was barely an airplane now, more a damaged spear held together by speed. March 18, 1944, 9:03. 3 German fighters remained in a tight approach. Mercer's engine coughed, power sagging. He knew the Merlin would not last another minute. He also knew the Germans didn't know his guns were empty. He climbed slightly, as if setting up another firing pass. The Germans broke formation, each unwilling to be the one in the gunsight. Mercer dove anyway, straight at the nearest aircraft. The impact was clean. The German disintegrated. Kill count, 53. The remaining 2 fled, then turned back, furious. March 18, 1944, 9:05. Mercer aimed at the nearer one for a head-on collision. The German hesitated too long. Mercer struck at the wing root. Both aircraft broke apart into flame and metal. Kill count, 54. For an instant, Mercer's canopy tore away and the world became wind and light. His body went weightless, thrown free, falling. Through the blur he saw the last German fighter circling low, coming in to confirm. Mercer could not reach his parachute. He could barely feel his hands. But he could still see. The German fighter made a pass. Mercer's falling body struck the tailplane like a thrown stone. The enemy aircraft lurched, lost control, and spiraled down. Kill count, 55. March 18, 1944, 9:17. Mercer fell into cloud. The roar of engines faded. He thought once more of a porch in Ohio, summer air, the smell of rain on wood. Then nothing. March 18, 1944, 10:22. German command logs recorded catastrophic losses in the Leipzig sector during the bomber raid, 55 fighters destroyed in defense and pursuit. 3 American pilots were listed as missing. Presumed dead. March 19, 1944, 8 o'clock. At Thorpe Abbotts, ground crews waited for aircraft that never came. Dispersal pens stayed empty. A crew chief stared at the runway until his cigarette burned to ash. No one said much. There were no words shaped for that kind of absence. June 6, 1944, 6:30. On another morning with different skies, Allied aircraft crossed into occupied Europe again. Resistance remained fierce, but something had changed, an invisible subtraction. Pilots traded rumors about a mission beyond the turnback line. About 3 men who went in knowing they wouldn't return, and a sky over Leipzig that turned into a furnace. They didn't speak of glory. They spoke of cost. And in quiet moments, when engines were silent, they remembered the simplest truth. Those 3 did not come home.